if you would like notifications. Now we're on part 2 of the Casei Jones story, which is the Michael Jones interrogation tapes. Of course, they blanked out the majority of what happened with this case. They do not want to put this case in jeopardy. Here's a brief news clip for you to check out.
Casei Jones and the 4 children deputies say Michael Jones killed. They say in July, Jones' wife confronted him over cheating allegations and a fight ensued. They say he would hit Casei Jones repeatedly with a baseball bat, killing her. Deputies say he would then strangle and drown the children. Now, these are new pictures of the SUV Jones was stopped in Brantley County, Georgia, before being arrested. Deputies say the crimes occurred in Marion County, Florida, and he had the bodies in his car for weeks. This is video of Jones in the back of a police cruiser. New interrogation video is heavily redacted, but in it, Jones speaks with detectives about everything from past discipline of the children to his relationship with Casei Jones.
Where you guys are at each other like this, like fighting, or? It just got worse. Like, little things all the time with her. She would come at me, and we'd argue and, never really got physical.
In part 1, we learned that Michael Jones was taking a few drugs that I think they are to take into question, which is Wellbutrin. We also learned that it seemed that Michael and Sara kind of were collaborating a story that they were not trying to get back together, and she had a boyfriend somewhere. But the ex-wife of Sara Jones, nobody was able to locate and confirm that she ever had a boyfriend. In fact, on one of her tapes, interviews, she says, she had been alone for a very long time. So that didn't make sense. And here is that evidence where she says that she is basically alone for a very long time. Here is the ex-wife of Michael Jones, Sara Jones, talking about Mike staying with her for the hurricane that come in.
His intention, as far as I knew, was to move to Jacksonville so that he could be closer to these kids because he'd been out of their lives for so long. Not to live with me, that was not the intention at any point. It was just a circumstantial thing. The hurricane was coming through. I had never been through it and didn't know what it would be like. It was comforting to have another adult there. I was a single mom by myself for 3 or 4 years. And having another grown-up in the house, let alone their father that they trusted, was such a relief while he was there.
So this doesn't sound like she has a boyfriend or have had a boyfriend in the life of her family or herself. So when you see Mike in the interrogation room yesterday from part 1, where he's speaking on this incident where he's staying with Sara Jones, his ex-wife's house during the hurricane, they kind of insinuate to him, were you trying to get back with Sara or what was going on with that? Basically, you can go back and check that out. And he's saying pretty much that she had a boyfriend, so that's not the case, and he lived in Vermont. So another concern that Sara said was this.
If there's one thing that Michael is really good at, it's lying and manipulation.
To me, it looks like this is a woman scorned because she says all these kinds of things that you can tell are complete lies, especially if you compare it to Michael Jones' interrogation. Sara Jones even goes as far as to say that Casei Jones, the wife that Michael, he took her life, disappeared on a regular basis. And this is an absolute lie. This has never happened. So a lot of us are concerned as to why Sara Jones would go out of her way to push that. What's the reasoning? What's the motive? Why?
That's when I discovered that Casei and the kids were missing. I didn't really know what to think. It was it's not completely secret that there have been times in the past that she has just kind of disappeared for a while to get some time alone or away from people. And my having only...
So after, comparing all this, I had to ask, is Michael the only one that's good at lying and manipulation? I just don't understand why she went out of her way to stick that in there. Why do you guys think that might be? Leave it in comments below. But that wasn't the only lie that she had. She actually lied that she had seen Casey and the children the Friday before detectives really come around at McDonald's. And she ended up making a phone call. And I want to make sure that I put this source out there because sometimes I forget to do that and I don't want them to be mad at me. So Massacre Talk has the full audio. I'm just going to put a clip in here if you want to check it out, where she's telling the detectives that she messed up, that she wasn't thinking straight, and making excuses as to why she says she's seen those kids on Friday. But they were no longer here, guys. Why would she do that? Here we go.
Hey, Detective Bartlett. This is Sara Jones. We spoke earlier about Casei Jones. I have to apologize. In my confusion of having 3 children and a lot going on, I was thinking more about it, and I actually don't recall seeing Casey on Friday. It was a really quick switch out, or rather visit with the kids. So I only can confirm that I saw Michael, but it's actually...
So again, guys, you can check out the rest of this on Massacre Talk, and it's on YouTube. I am sorry, I sometimes forget to put my sources on here, and that's because I do things in a hurry. But they have some pretty neat things on this, but they also had a few things that kind of ended up controversial to the family themselves. But regardless, you can go back and listen to this, the whole thing, at Massacre Talk. The thing is she is retracting what she said on an interview. So she's saying that she did not see the kids or Casey, and in fact, if she was messed up, how would she get so mixed up when she admits later in that tape that she hadn't seen Casey for a while? So this is where I want to go back into the Michael Jones interrogation tapes as well, but I wanted you guys to see what I'm seeing in this case, and the fact that the lies are so thick and the manipulation is just off the charts. Why would Sara Jones need to lie about this? Well, there's only one reason I can think of, and I could be wrong, and that is she's trying to protect him. Possibly even protecting herself, because she's looking out for her and her kids, and somewhere in the deep back of her mind, she's still wanting Michael Jones and her life with her children, especially now that Casey and her children are completely gone. That's speculation, of course. That's just me trying to figure out why in the world would she lie about this. So what do you guys think? Like I said, drop it in comments below. It's just such a horrific story. It's so sad to know that we have a mother, I don't care what type of person this is, and the children no longer here. Innocent children, because of something brewing between Sara and Michael Jones, which they both seem to deny. So definitely they are both lying about the fact, it's easy to see that they were actually kind of talking again and kind of working closer as a couple. Sara mentioned she moves back to Jacksonville for the economic reasons, but yet she's working for Uber. That makes no sense to me. I am glad, however, that they are not hurt and her children are okay. But the fact that she's lying, that concerns me. Okay, guys, let's pick up where we left off from the part 1 on the Michael Jones interrogation tapes. Now, remember, we learned that they did fight often But he was never the type to get physical. And what happened that night was he actually took the bat from his wife and retaliated until she was no longer here. So Michael is telling how he got in a wreck here.
Tell me about this. This is another question I had. How did you wreck the van? What happened there?
Like I said, after I got out of the woods driving or whatever, the GPS is like rerouting me, and so I'm messing with the GPS, and it's touch screen, and I'm looking this way, and I swerved off the road once, and then kind of like, okay, pay attention. And I swerved again, and that was it. It just kept going down, and I slammed into that, and that was it.
What happened then?
I got out, trying to collect myself and figure out, what was up.
Were you injured?
No. I mean, my ankle a little bit. And other than that, no, I had a seatbelt on.
You can kind of see up here. Is that you got a
I
little?
think so. Yeah. I haven't seen myself, but so I had some.
Seatbelt, yeah.
But I
wonder what that was. Yeah.
I got the powder or whatever it was in my eye. It was burning a little bit, so I got out, found something to wet my face, and people were driving by, and I was telling them I'm all right. And I knew that my phone would at least call 911, so I called 911. I didn't know where I was. I saw 2 different road signs. I said, I'm in between here.
How did you call 911 with your phone? Oh, I guess
Emergency.
That's right. Yes. 911. Yes.
So you call 911 and you wait for the troopers to show up?
Mm-hmm.
What happened then?
Okay, this is a blank spot through here. So this is after he wrecked his van in Georgia and with his wife remains still inside that car, and he just gotten rid of his 4 children.
You got
I
a little.
think so, yeah. I haven't seen myself, but so I had some.
Seatbelt, yeah.
But I
wonder what that was. Yeah.
I got the powder or whatever it was in my eye. It was burning a little bit, so I got out, found something to wet my face, and people were driving by, and so I believe Sara asked me once, what's that smell?
And what'd you tell her?
I said there's mothballs in there. Because I was almost overpowered. The other smell on me, anyways.
How'd the window of the van get busted?
That was prior to all of this happening. I backed into a tiny little oak tree in Nikki's, my mother-in-law's driveway.
When any of these happened, were you drinking? You weren't drinking a bit. No alcohol, no drugs, no nothing. Clear head.
So he's somewhat honest here. But the interviews Casei Jones have done, it's basically confirming she's a liar and manipulator as well. So that's kind of backfiring there.
I'm not going to talk to Sara and find out anything different, right? I'm not going to find out that this was some planned thing. I don't think it was, but obviously, I got to go back and talk to her.
Yeah, that sucks for her.
Because you already put her in a spot today.
Yeah. But she knows nothing about it. Nobody does.
Nobody at all. There's nobody that you confided in that's...
I don't have anybody.
What happened with you and your mom? I know your mom called me and she told me that you called her and told her some weird story. She didn't think much of it, but obviously thinking back now, she said it was a little weird. What did you tell your mom?
I guess telling her the same thing that I was telling the kids,
Something about Kentucky is what your mom told me.
Oh, yeah, that was for the hurricane or whatever. So she asked what we were doing if we were staying in Florida or whatever. And that's when I was with Sara. So I told her, no, we're going to head up to Kentucky. Casey has family up there. We've been there before. So that was the story I told.
So that wouldn't have been an abnormal story. I know I asked and I don't remember if you answered.
So here he's trying to cover up the fact that he's going to stay with Sara. Sarah's trying to cover up that fact. Why? If it was so innocent, why? What is the big deal of him going and staying with Casei Jones? Why is there a big cover-up for this between both of them?
I feel like I dropped something in there, but I don't know.
Were they clothed or unclothed or?
The baby had a diaper on. So I guess she would be naked. Yeah.
What were the other ones wearing?
Cameron had some bottoms on and no shirt.
You saying like shorts or something? Sleeping shorts or something?
Yeah.
Preston?
I think same goes for Preston.
Well, what about the oldest girl?
She had clothes on. Oh shit.
You left a computer at Sarah's house.
Mhm.
What's on that computer? Anything?
No, that's it was Casey's, but there's nothing on it.
Why'd you leave it there?
Told her she could have the boys use it.
So you gave it to Casey for the boys?
So
I'm sorry, you gave it to Sarah for the boys.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see if those step out for a few minutes if you want.
Yeah. Make sure we covered everything and
Hang tight.
I appreciate it, Michael.
Okay, guys, and as you can see, he was sitting there with his head hung down. I'm not certain if it's in shame, regret. I don't understand what's going on with his emotions right now. I do realize that after seeing this, that Casei Jones is definitely part of the cover-up. She attempted to cover it up. She intentionally lied to police, telling them that she had seen Casei Jones and her children on Friday, and they were all fined. She later calls the police and blames it on her having so much going on that she messed up, basically. But the truth of the matter is she lied. But why did she lie? And Michael basically said that she had absolutely nothing to do with this. In my personal opinion, I believe that Casei Jones should be behind bars as well. You should never lie to police. Ever. Casei Jones mentions in her interview that she understands exactly the scenario that police are suggesting. So if she was to deny that, well, it's on tape, she can't. So obviously these two had a lot more in common than they're leading on. So the person that suffered from all this lies of manipulation and such is Casei Jones and her 4 children, 2 of which were not even Michael Jones' children. We do hear Casei Jones mention the fact that it was odd for her to see children in her house calling Michael daddy that were not her children. So obviously she had an issue with those children. But it looks like the police are not going to pursue putting her behind bars, which is sad because we need examples set. She didn't play, as far as they can tell, she did not play the role in taking the lives of the 5 people who are now deceased. But affidavits are released right now, and I wanted to go over a few of them with you. Okay, so here's the cops' recollection. So on 9/14/2019, approximately between 8 and 8:30 at p.m. hours, I responded to 14, I can't read this too well, guys, 680 Southeast 86th Terrace, in reference to conducting a well-being check. The person that he's saying had reported this is Nikki Jones, which is Casei Jones' mother, had called requesting law enforcement to check on her daughter, Casei Jones. She was said to be at the residence with her husband, Michael Jones, and multiple children. Upon arrival, I found the residence was completely emptied out. There was no furniture or personal items in the residence. It also appeared to have recently been cleaned. I conducted numerous computer queries for Casei Jones and Michael Jones, only locating the address of 2018 Vine Street, Leesburg, for both subjects. I then made contact with the reporting person, Nikki Jones. Nikki Jones advised me she is the mother of Casei Jones and is concerned about her welfare due to the suspicious circumstances that transpired over the last 6 weeks. Nikki Jones advised approximately 6 weeks ago, Casei Jones sent her a text message requesting that she watch her 2 children for a few days. For those of you who don't know, guys, that's when Nikki Jones had Mercalli and Ayanna for a period of time before they disappeared. It continues that Nikki Jones agreed as she watches the children regularly. Soon after, Michael Jones brought Mercalli Jones, date of birth 12/9/16, and Ayanna Jones, date of birth 8/10/18. I want to remind you guys that it was Ayanna's birthday when Michael Jones picked him up, and Michael Jones picked him up because he knew that Nikki Jones would figure out something was majorly wrong if the baby didn't go home to Casei Jones on her birthday. Anyways, the two were at her residence in DeLand, Florida. I don't know how to pronounce that. After a few days, she received another text from Casei Jones asking her to keep the 2 children a few more days because she was sick. According to Nikki Jones, she had received the same type of message from Casei Jones on a few occasions while she had the children. Nikki Jones ended up keeping Mercalli Jones and Ayanna Jones for approximately 2 weeks before Michael Jones came to pick them up by himself. While Nikki Jones had the 2 children, she became increasingly concerned for the well-being of Casei Jones because it was completely out of character for her to not have contact with her daughters. The unusual behavior from Casei Jones continued, and Nikki Jones did not have any visual contact with Casei Jones for the duration of the time she had Mercalli and Ayanna Jones. Now, when Michael did come to get the children, Nikki Jones asked for Casei Jones to come with him because she had not heard from her or seen her for 2 weeks. Nikki Jones was concerned at that time. Now, I have talked with Nikki Jones, and she was very, very, very concerned for a while, but, she said that Casei Jones had been sick before, and, she was not in contact with them. And not only that, they had like a little bit of a dispute, so they weren't talking on a regular basis. Nikki Jones also told me exactly how Michael Jones broke the back of the van window, and it was on 4th of July. Actually, if I remember correctly, he backed into a tree or a tree limb, and it busted the window. I want to remind people that Nikki Jones had been concerned about Casei Jones being with Michael the entire time that her daughter was with him. And that's probably why the disputes happened. She was very concerned for her daughter's safety, and especially one of the boys' safety. I can't remember which one it is. But Michael Jones had gotten a little aggressive with one of the boys. So when you hear he hasn't ever gotten physical, we have to wonder. So I wanted everybody to be clear of the relationship going on there so that people don't hear Michael Jones talking about Nikki Jones in that bad way and you envisioning her as that bad person he's trying to make her out to be. Nikki Jones did not like Michael Jones. That's just all there is to it. She didn't trust him, especially around the boys. So now that we got that cleared off, let's go ahead and continue with this affidavit. Anyways, Nikki Jones continued to be concerned because usually she spoke with Casey Jones almost every single day, whether it be text message, phone call, or video chat. Nikki Jones advised she was extremely close with Casey Jones and maintained a constant contact with her. Nikki Jones further reported Casey Jones has her two other children, Cameron Bowers, birth date 9/12/09, and Preston Bowers, birth date 8/22/14, with her. Their biological father shares custody, but but the two have been with Casey Jones for the last few months. Nikki Jones has not heard or seen from the two children either. So during the course of the last 4 weeks, Nikki Jones attempted to contact Casey Jones by multiple text messages and phone calls, but the phone went straight to voicemail and she never received a text message back. On 9/14/2019, she decided to call the Marion County Sheriff's Office to request a well-being check. The officer continues to say, I then made contact with a neighbor, Johnny Murphy, at 14690 Southeast 86th Terrace, and he advised me he did not know Casey Jones or Michael Jones well. He only saw them occasionally. Johnny Murphy could not provide any specific dates, but advised approximately 2 weeks prior he had approached the property manager, Patrick, who asked Johnny Murphy to walk with him through the residence at 14680. I think that's what it says, guys. If I get the address wrong, excuse me. So Johnny advised he walked through the residence with Patrick and observed the residence was still full of furniture and personal items and photographs. Johnny Murphy advised it didn't appear that anything had been removed from the residence, but there was an awful smell. Johnny described the smell as something dead. Johnny Murphy then exited the residence and did not have any further involvement with the residence. The next day, Johnny advised that he saw the couple's white Chrysler minivan in the driveway. The minivan left that afternoon and it did not return to the location. Johnny did advise that he believes he saw the vehicle leaving the Little Lake subdivision one time last week. The vehicle also had a rear window completely broken out. This is very curious, guys, because the fact that they do have this smell going on and everything. So they then made contact with the landowner of the property, Joseph, by phone. And Joseph advised that he lives in Boca Raton. Did I say that right? Boca Raton, Florida, and would be able to respond to the location. Now, guys, I've not had time to go over this, so bear with me. I'm not proofreading it or anything. We're reading it together. So it's saying here that he was advised sometime around 8/23/19. So according to him, they started the eviction process on Michael Jones and Casey Jones. He made contact with Casey Jones and told her the process had been started. Casey Jones advised him she no longer had anything to do with Michael Jones and to contact him for any further information. So it's pretty confirmed right there that she's no longer there. Lost my spot. So the landowner actually processed and give the eviction to Michael and Casey Jones. He made contact with Casey Jones and told her the process had been started. Casey Jones advised him that she was no longer had anything to do with Michael Jones and to contact him for any further information. Joseph, the landowner, notified Michael Jones of the eviction on 8/23/2019 and received a text message from Michael Jones advising he was leaving the residence and that he would leave the key on the counter. Okay, guys, so what I'm going to have to do is I'm hitting my max here, so I'm going to have to do a part 3, and I apologize about that. But anyways, I want to send love out to you guys. I want to say so much thanks for being here and supporting these cases and that I will have that done sometime today. Thank you guys so much. See you soon.